Inside a boisterous, clamorous bar, a young woman was hunched over, downing drink after drink, trying to drown her sorrows. It was unclear how many she'd already consumed, but her face was flushed, a testament to the alcohol she'd imbibed. Despite her obvious inebriation, she showed no signs of stopping. Today was a day she desperately wanted to forget. As the alcohol coursed through her veins, her pent-up frustrations began to spill out. "Hey, bartender," she yelled, her voice laced with despair. "Another drink, the strongest one you have. My boyfriend cheated on me with my best friend. I thought that only happened in novels. Why me? Who? Xiaozhe, le YQ. How could you do this to me? I trusted you both so much." The bartender, witnessing her anguish, offered a sympathetic look as he slid a freshly mixed drink towards her. "Finding out their scum is a good thing," he said gently. "This dream tranquilizer is on me." The woman looked up, a slightly manic giggle escaping her lips. "Aha, thanks." Without a second thought, she grabbed the drink and tipped it back, draining it in one long gulp. A strange sensation washed over her. "Whoa, why am I feeling dizzy?" she mumbled, her voice slurring. Her vision blurred, the world around her fading into a hazy indistinctness. Finally, she slumped over the bar, unconscious. The bartender, watching her collapse, gave a knowing smirk and retrieved the empty dream tranquilizer glass. She was carried to a VIP room upstairs. As she began to stir, a deep male voice rumbled. Awake? Still under the influence of the drug, she instinctively reached out, wrapping her arms around the stranger's neck. So hot, she moaned. "Help me." Like a shark smelling blood, the man responded to her plea, his own face flushed with desire. "It'll be all right," he murmured, his voice thick with lust. "Soon." And so it happened. Two strangers, caught in a whirlwind of passion, shared a night of intense intimacy. This was 2 months ago. Now, the woman, back at work, jolted back to reality, the memory of that night flashing through her mind. 2 months already? She thought, bewildered. Why am I still dreaming about it? Her colleague, sitting opposite her, noticed her sudden awakening. "You okay?" she asked, concerned. "You were sweating so much. I got you some lunch. You should eat something." The woman rubbed her aching head. "Thanks," she replied. But as she opened the lunchbox, the smell of the food sent a wave of nausea through her. "Of so gross." She choked out, much to her colleague's surprise. She quickly covered her mouth and rushed towards the restroom. Once inside, she retched violently. Her kind colleague followed, gently rubbing her back. "Are you all right?" she asked. "What's wrong? Don't tell me you're pregnant." Realizing her gaffe, she quickly corrected herself. "Just kidding. I know you're single. You should take better care of yourself." Though unintentional, her words struck the woman like a bolt of lightning. Her eyes widened in fear. "No way," she thought, panic rising her chest. "It was just that one night. It can't be. Could I really be that lucky or unlucky?" Driven by suspicion, she went to the maternity ward, room number 1, for a checkup. But the truth sent her reeling when she saw the ultrasound results. The doctor's words made her limbs tremble as her eyes remained fixed on the ultrasound printout in her hand, unable to believe it was real. "Ms. Thin, congratulations. You're pregnant, and the fetus is already 10 weeks old. Currently, the pregnancy appears stable." Seeing her frozen like a statue, unresponsive, the doctor called out again. "Ms. Thin," our protagonist, unsure whether to laugh or cry in her current predicament, asked in a daze, "I'm pregnant? I'm really pregnant." The hazy memory of that passionate night flooded back in her mind. But the most worrying thing at this moment was that she didn't even know who the father of the child was. "What am I going to do? I'm suddenly pregnant, all alone. What should I do next?" The suddenness of it all sent her into shock, unable to cope. She fainted. Seeing this, the doctor anxiously called out, Ms. Thin, are you all right?" Realizing the gravity of the situation, the doctor shouted, "Someone, come quickly. The patient has fainted." Just then, someone outside kicked the examination room door open with a powerful thud. A group of men in black burst in, their imposing presence filling the room. The doctor, wary, asked, Who are you?" The leader said nothing, but simply threw a suitcase at the doctor's feet. "Thump, this money is for you." He then bent down and scooped up the unconscious Ms. Thin from the doctor's arms, not forgetting to leave a chilling warning. "You absolutely must not reveal what happened today, or you'll suffer the consequences." 5 years later, at Namtan City's #1 airport, a plane slowly touched down. As soon as the assistant saw the man emerge, he approached him to report the current situation. Mr. UC, the young master hasn't eaten anything for a whole day. Would you like to return to the villa first? The man, exuding the aura of a cold and aloof CO, asked, Why are you only telling me this now? The assistant, sweating profusely, stammered an explanation. You had an important meeting in Chicago. I was afraid of delaying you, so I didn't call. I didn't expect the young master would actually go on a hunger strike. UC Nam Tan, the chairman of Fin Duong Hotels, adjusted his glasses, his eyes glinting with a sharp warning. Since when have you been able to make decisions for me? His coldness made the assistant's legs tremble. Just then, a small chocolate candy rolled to a stop at his feet. UC Nam Tan bent down and picked it up, examining it. What's this? A small hand suddenly appeared, tugging lightly on his suit. UC Nam Tan looked over to find an adorable little girl with large, round eyes staring up at him. Fin Tu Tin, Fin and Neen's daughter, reached out towards him and said, Mister, if you want to eat chocolate, you should buy your own. I don't have any extra to share. UC Nam Tan felt an inexplicable sense of familiarity with the little girl before him. He asked gently, Do you like this brand of chocolate? Yes, I do. Do you like it too? UC Nam Tan looked at her, a thought crossing his mind. Who is this child? I've never seen her before. Why do I feel like I know her? His expression stunned the assistant standing behind him. Doesn't Mr. UC dislike other people's children? Why is he being so gentle with this little girl? He patted Fin Tu Tin's head gently and replied, I don't particularly like it, but my little friend at home does. So I bought a lot for him. I can give you a box. As he spoke, he gestured to his assistant. The assistant hurriedly pulled a box of chocolates from his bag and handed it to him. Fin Tu Tin, though she adored chocolate, hesitated. This was from a stranger, after all. Her mother had told her never to accept things from strangers. Seeing that time was getting on, the assistant urged Mr. UC to leave. After a moment of deliberation, Fin Tu Tin made a bold decision. She suddenly leaned forward and kissed UC Nam Tan lightly on the cheek, giggling, There, now it's okay. Then, with a cheerful grin, she accepted the box of chocolates. As he turned to leave, she waved enthusiastically. Bye, mister. UC Nam Tan chuckled softly, waving back. Gazing at the enormous box of chocolates in her hands, the little girl thought happily, He's so handsome and kind. I wish you were my dad. Just then, a shrill voice pierced the air, startling her. Ting, ding, ding. The voice belonged to Fin and Neen, her mother. Didn't I tell you to stay put? Why are you running around? Scolding, she picked up her daughter, a flicker of annoyance in her eyes. Fin Tu Tin mumbled an explanation. My chocolate dropped. I went to pick it up. Noticing the unfamiliar box of chocolates in her daughter's hands, Fin and Neen picked it up and asked, Where did you get this? Fin Tu Tin, her eyes darting away guiltily, replied, A handsome mister gave it to me. He said I was cute. Realizing her daughter had disobeyed and accepted a gift from a stranger, Fin and Neen's temper flared. Gave it to you? Why didn't you just go home with him? Defeated, Fin Tu Tin could only admit her fault. Mommy, I'm sorry. I'll stand in the corner for 3 minutes. At her daughter's suggestion, Fin and Neen gave her a chilling smile. Oh, no. 10 minutes. Fin Tu Tin protested, trying to bargain. 10 minutes is too long, Mommy. Can you make it less? But Fin and Neen wouldn't budge. Wagging a finger, she said, No more bargaining. If you keep it up, I'll have more time. Resigned, the little girl zipped her lips with her fingers. Come on, Tin Tin, let's go home. Fin and Neen, on her way to a job interview, had overslept. She threw on a business suit and rushed out the door, heading for Fin Duong Corporation. I'm going to be late, she thought frantically. I hope Tin Tin is being good at home. Seeing the elevator doors about to close, she called out, Wait, please hold the elevator. She dashed inside, apologizing profusely. Excuse me, I'm late for an interview. Realizing she was standing too close to the other occupant, she instinctively stepped back. But a strand of her hair caught on the other person's button. Embarrassed, she looked up at UC Nam Tan. I'm so sorry. Could you help me? Her sudden closeness made the other occupants of the elevator, UC Nam Tan's entourage, freeze. The air thickened with tension as everyone shrank back against the walls. Doesn't Mr. UC hate being touched? Who is this woman? Why is she in the executive elevator? UC Nam Tan gazed at her intently for a moment. Then, without a word, he reached out and gently untangled her hair from his button. Sensing her nervousness, he spoke softly. Don't move. Just relax. Sheng Anren froze, the voice sending a shiver down her spine. It was so familiar. Unbidden, a memory surfaced from 5 years ago, a night of passion with a man whose voice was strikingly similar. It'll be all right, she told herself quickly. Her cheeks flushed crimson as the memory intensified. She patted her face, trying to compose herself. Why was she thinking about that now? What was she doing? My hair's finally untangled. Thank you, she managed, her voice slightly breathless. Looking at the man before her, Sheng Anren felt a strange sense of familiarity. His silhouette was identical to the man from 5 years prior. Lost in thought, her gaze lingered on Yunansheng. His assistant, noticing her intense stare, stepped forward accusingly. Miss, what's the rush? Are you here to hit on him? The assistant's words sparked contrasting reactions. Yunansheng's brows furrowed. Hit on him? The thought jolted him. Recalling her earlier predicament, he mistakenly believed his assistant's accusation. This woman was deliberately trying to get close to him. The favorable impression he'd initially formed began to sour. Sheng Anren, seeing his expression, understood his misconception. What's with that look? She thought, inwardly cursing. Good heavens. And I just genuinely thanked him for helping me out of that awkward situation. The impatient assistant pointed towards the door. Miss, please leave. The employee elevator is over there. Knowing they'd misunderstood, Sheng Anren tried to explain. Wait, I'm being serious. I'm not. But before she could finish, she was unceremoniously shoved out of the elevator. Furious, Sheng Anren erupted. Who does he think he is? Ridiculous. Hit on him? He looks like some club promoter. Her outburst sent beads of sweat down the assistant's forehead as he nervously glanced at Yunansheng. This applicant had a death wish, calling CEO Yu a club promoter. Yunansheng, however, remained impassive, his expression betraying no annoyance. Inwardly, though, he seethed, deliberately approaching him and then insulting him. Very good, he thought, his mind already plotting her downfall. Tell manager Lee I'll be attending the 10 o'clock interviews, he instructed, his voice cold. Meanwhile, Sheng Anren pushed open the waiting room door to find it already crowded. Wow, so many people here for the interview, she thought, taking a seat. She overheard a conversation between two women nearby. I just heard some inside information. CEO, you will be at the interviews later. Oh my God, really? I hear he's tall, handsome, and though he has a child, he's not married. If he's on the interview panel, wouldn't that be a great opportunity? Maybe, but I heard he has problems, down there, giggles. Listening to their gossip, Sheng Anren pictured CEO Yu as a balding, elderly man. Most CEOs with children were over 40, so this CEO Yu was probably some old, beer-bellied geezer. Lost in her whimsical imagining, she was startled by her name being called over the loudspeaker. Next, Sheng Anren. She jumped to her feet, present, but as she pushed open the interview room door and stepped inside, she froze, stunned. Among the interviewers, she recognized a familiar figure, someone she'd encountered not long ago. It was the man from the elevator. UC Nam Tan's deep, thoughtful gaze swept over her. Looking at her resume, he asked coldly, graduated from Water Business School? Sheng Anren, her face tense, lowered her head slightly. Not yet, she murmured. I haven't received my diploma. One of the interviewers frowned, his displeasure evident. So you dropped out? You think Shengshi Corporation is easy to get into? How did HR even let someone like you in here? He was about to continue his tirade when UC Nam Tan raised a hand, silencing him. He asked calmly, have you seen Shengshi's hiring requirements? Your work experience in Germany alone doesn't meet our standards. He tossed her resume dismissively onto the table. Get out, he barked, recalling their encounter in the elevator. With a sneer, he added, using those useless tricks and without a proper degree, which company would hire you? Sheng Anren, bending to retrieve her resume, bristled at his words. Slamming the papers back down on the table with a resounding thud, she retorted, if you think a diploma is the only proof of ability, let's make a bet. Gaozang, Nam Tan's good for then, pet get up, indeed. What kind of bet do you have in mind, miss? Sheng Anren, brimming with confidence, thumped her chest. I'll work at Sheng Tang Hotel, your corporation's hotel, for 3 months and guarantee a 30% increase in profit each month. If I succeed, Sheng Tang hires me as a full-time employee with triple the standard salary. Looking directly into UC Nam Tan's eyes, she enunciated each word clearly. And you, she added, will apologize to me. Chao Zhang, delighted by the unfolding drama, nudged UC Nam Tan. Agree. If you don't, you're a coward. Yusi Nam Tan shot his friend a sharp look, effectively silencing him. He stood and walked over to Sheng and ran. "And what if you fail?" he asked. Sheng and ran, determined to play this high-stakes game, declared, "Then I'll sell myself to Sheng Tang for 3 years at your disposal. Do you dare to accept?" Her unwavering resolve gave him pause. As he brushed past her, he turned back. "Go home and wait for notification. I accept your bet." Chao Zhang, seeing the entertainment was over, hurried after his friend. "Wait for me, Nam Tan. Let's grab a bite." At the door, he turned back to Sheng and ran. "Good luck, miss." Once everyone was gone, Sheng and Ran let out a sigh of relief. She had, at least for now, secured a chance. It was dusk by the time she returned to her apartment after a long day. As she opened the door, Xiao Xing rushed to hug her. "Mommy's home." The little girl proudly shared her accomplishments. "I memorized all my vocabulary words, and I even warmed up dinner in the microwave." Sheng and Ran, her heart filled with warmth, kissed her daughter. "You're such a good girl." The little girl, beaming, pulled her mother's hand, leading her into the house. "Mommy, come on, hurry up." Watching her daughter's growing form, a wave of nostalgia washed over her. In the blink of an eye, Tin Tin had grown so tall. She remembered how tiny she had been just 5 years ago. Seeing her mother lost in thought, the little girl, perched at the dining table, urged her, "Mommy, what are you thinking about? Come and eat." Sheng Anren, snapping back to reality, gently stroked her daughter's head. Little Tin Tin seemed to want to say something, but hesitated. Noticing this, Anren asked perceptively, "What's wrong, sweetie?" Suddenly, the little girl blurted out, "Maybe you and Daddy should get a divorce." Sheng Anren was taken aback by her daughter's words. "Why would you say something like that all of a sudden?" Little Tin Tin, her face etched with sadness, explained her observation. "Because Daddy doesn't seem to like Mommy. He only visits us twice a year, and he doesn't even care about us. He doesn't kiss you either. Honestly, I don't want a daddy like that." The little girl climbed down from her chair and hugged her mother, asking hopefully, "Mommy, can we get new daddy?" Guilt flooded Sheng Anren's heart. She had only wanted to spare her daughter from unnecessary worry, hiring someone to impersonate her father every year. She hadn't realized Tin Tin remembered everything. Not hearing a response, the little girl looked up, her expression understanding. "What are you thinking, Mommy? Don't worry about me. You can go find a new daddy. As long as he likes us, I can accept having a new brother or sister." Sheng Anren, heartbroken, hugged her daughter tightly. "Silly girl, Mommy just wants to take good care of you and watch you grow up." Little Tin Tin, hearing this, whined, "But I want a brother, and I want a daddy who will spoil us like princesses." Her daughter's innocent words pierced Sheng Anren's heart like a knife. She whispered to herself, "Actually, sweetie, you do have a brother, but Mommy lost him." Meanwhile, little Tin Tin was lost in her own thoughts. "It's a shame I didn't get to know that uncle at the airport. Just one look, and I knew he would be perfect for Mommy." She made up her mind. "That's it. I have to find a new daddy who's as gentle and handsome as him." The next day, at Shengshi Corporation, following yesterday's wager, Sheng Anren arrived at the company early in the morning to begin her challenge. Coincidentally, it was also the company's 15th anniversary, and there were many special offers, so a large number of customers had already gathered. "Hello, I can help you with the check-in procedure." "It's my pleasure to assist you, ma'am." After serving several customers in a row, Sheng Anren was drenched in sweat. "I can't believe my first day back at work coincides with the 15th anniversary. Why is it so busy?" As she grumbled to herself, she suddenly heard someone call her name from behind. "Anren!" She turned to see who it was. It was none other than her former best friend, Liu, the same woman whose terrible father had betrayed her in the past. Le Y sneered, "Oh, it really is you. Hello, long time no see." The green tea bitch feigned concern, rushing over to ask, "Anren, I heard you cut off contact with your family before going abroad. Have you seen your uncle since you came back?" Xiaozhe, Sheng Anren's ex-boyfriend, quickly pulled his current girlfriend back. "Xiaoya, let's go." But the green tea bitch, of course, refused. This was her chance to show off in front of Sheng Anren. "Go where?" "I haven't finished catching up with Anren yet." Lun Noyet reached out, intending to pull Thin and Neen towards an empty seat to chat. "Neen, it's been years since we last talked." Thin and Neen, though annoyed, maintained her composure. "I'm so sorry. I'm still working," she replied, reminding herself. "There are too many people in the lobby today. I can't cause a scene here." So, she followed Lunayet, the green tea, into the elevator, the doors closing behind them. L'Enguye feignait d'enthousiasme. "It's been ages since we've caught up." Lun Noyet held up her ringed hand, a smug look on her face. And Neen, you can come to my and Atrake's engagement party, can't you? It's on the 18th of next month. I hope you can make it. Seeing the ring on Lu Noyet's finger, Finn and Neen's heart turned to ice. Wasn't that the same ring she and Kyo Trake had looked at 5 years ago? Lu Noyet, reveling in Neen's reaction, pressed her advantage. Oh, are you worried about not having a male companion? Don't worry, I know plenty of people. I can introduce you to someone. And Neen, irritated by her audacity, retorted, I'm busy with work, not wanting to be outdone by this brazen woman. She lied. I have a boyfriend, but I doubt he'd let me attend the engagement party of my ex-boyfriend and my former best friend. Linguiet Lindin, intrigued. And Neen, you have a boyfriend? Why don't you call him? I'd love to meet him. Maybe he's free now. No need. He's very busy. And Neen replied, trying to shake off the clingy Lu Noyet. Let go of my arm. The force of her push sent Lu Noyet stumbling backward, and Neen braced herself for the fall, but instead, she landed in the warm embrace of someone standing behind her. Realizing her rescuer was UC Nam Tan, her face contorted. Oh my God, she thought. Talk about running into someone you'd rather avoid. Meanwhile, Lun Noyet continued her performance. And Neen, are you alright? My friend didn't mean to push you, sir. Looking at UC Nam Tan, a sudden idea sparked in Neen's mind. With a boldness that left him bewildered, she put on a love-struck expression. Oh, honey, it's you. You were in the elevator the whole time? Why didn't you say anything? Were you trying to surprise me? Lun Noyet's face darkened with disbelief. This is Neen's boyfriend? How could she possibly know someone like him? This can't be happening. Kyo Trake, her ex-boyfriend, also observed UC Nam Tan silently. Lun Noyet, convinced that Neen couldn't possibly have such a distinguished boyfriend, challenged her. And Neen, you can't just drag a stranger into your charade. It's embarrassing for everyone involved. And Neen frantically winked at UC Nam Tan, pleading for his help. Having overheard their conversation, UC Nam Tan understood the situation. Looking at her pleading eyes, he couldn't refuse. He pulled her closer and addressed Lun Noyet coldly. How much do you think she paid me to play along? And Neen, surprised by his cooperation, thought he actually agreed to help me. The assistant, who had been by Yunanqing's side for years, immediately understood his meaning and played along. Mr. Yu, this is the speech for today's anniversary celebration. I've reviewed it, and there are no issues. Lu Yu froze for a few seconds upon hearing this name. Mr. Yu? Could it be that Yunanqing? Doesn't everyone say he keeps his distance from women? How can Ran be with him? Just then, the elevator doors opened. Not wanting to linger, Trazin pulled Xiaozhe out. And Ran, we'll go ahead. Make sure you bring Mr. Yu to our engagement party. As the doors closed, he pressed her against the wall. Weren't you challenging me earlier? Are you scared now? Sheng and Ran pushed him away with all her might. Mr. Yu, you can talk without getting so close. He responded meaningfully. Weren't we closer that day? She brushed it off. I told you, that day was an accident. Yunanqing chuckled softly. Oh, so using me as a shield today was also an accident? I help you because you're my employee, but if you keep playing these games, I predict it will end badly. The elevator doors slammed shut. Sheng and Ran's mind was a whirlwind. I'm so frustrated. Why do I always do such stupid things? Never mind him misunderstanding. Even I feel like I'm interested in him. A panicked employee rushed up to her. Manager Sheng, we found you. The little guest in the VIP room refuses to eat, and his family isn't here. If something happens to him, or he starves, we'll be in big trouble. Annoyed, Sheng and Ran scolded. What kind of irresponsible parents are they, leaving their child alone in a room? All right, let's go see what's going on. She quickly arrived at the VIP room. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief upon seeing her. Manager Sheng, you're here. She asked, where's the child? He's inside the room. Manager Sheng, what should we do? Sheng and Ran frowned and went inside. What's going on? Inside the room, furniture was overturned and scattered everywhere. Food was spilled on the floor. Sensing the tricky situation, she paused before entering the boy's private room and instructed her subordinates. Quickly contact the child's parents. I'll go in and take a look. Watching her bravely step inside, a nervous male waiter spoke up. Should we just let her go in like that? His colleague retorted. Then you go. The waiter shuddered. No way. That little tyrant has a volatile temper. Provoking him would be the end of me. Inside the room, it was pitch black. Sheng and Ran softly said hello. As soon as she finished speaking, a pillow came flying towards her. But Sheng and Ran easily dodged it with a reflexive move. Seeing the stranger, a small boy inside the room clenched his fists nervously. Each time Sheng and Ran got closer, the boy would shrink back. She quickly sat down, gently restraining him, and spoke in a soothing voice. Little one, Don't be nervous. Can you tell me why you're so upset? The boy, who had his head down, suddenly looked up at the sound of her sweet voice. He was met with the face of a remarkably beautiful woman. He unexpectedly felt a sense of warmth towards her. So, the little boy with the withered hand took out a pen and paper and began to write. Thinanine was quite surprised by this action. She thought to herself, why doesn't this child speak? And he's so young, yet he already knows how to write. After he finished writing, the boy held it up for her to see. Inside, the handwriting, though childish, was perfectly legible. Bad Dad said he was going out and wouldn't be back. Thinanine, after reading it, felt a surge of annoyance and couldn't help but criticize the father. That's outrageous. How could a father do such a thing? Just wait until he gets back. I'll give him a piece of my mind for you. Hearing this, the little boy gave a small smile and a slight nod. Just then, his stomach grumbled loudly a few times, causing him to blush with embarrassment. Thinanine stood up. You're hungry, aren't you? Let me get you something to eat. At that moment, the boy looked up at the ceiling and noticed something amiss with the crystal chandelier. He reached out and tugged on her arm. But in the next second, the crystal chandelier, after swaying for a moment, broke free from its moorings and suddenly plummeted down. The little boy, seeing this, froze, his eyes wide with shock, unable to react. Without a second thought, Thinanine pulled the boy into her arms, using her body as a shield to protect him. Hearing the crash, people rushed in anxiously, calling out, Manager Thin, young master. The force of the impact was so great that it sliced a gash in her arm. She slumped to the floor, unconscious. In the haze of unconsciousness, she seemed to hear the little boy in front of her calling her, Mommy. Meanwhile, at a private club, Nam Tan was leisurely sipping tea while waiting for his business partner to arrive. Suddenly, a woman parted the curtains and walked in. Seeing him, her eyes lit up and she said, Hi, Nam Tan. It really is you. She settled down familiarly and started chatting. It's a good thing I found you. 2 days ago, I just met with your father. He mentioned you taking Kanhai and said there might be times you wouldn't be able to care for him properly. It seems he wants to take Kanhai back to live with him. He's worried about his safety? He's better off with me. You don't need to try to persuade me. The woman gave a strained smile. Persuade you? I was just mentioning it. If you don't agree, then forget it. Just then, his assistant rushed in, flustered. Mr. UC, the hotel called. They said the crystal chandelier in young master's room suddenly fell. Before the assistant could finish, Nam Tan shot to his feet. Gang Hee, how is he? The assistant continued. The hotel staff said he was rescued in time and isn't injured, but as a precaution, they're taking him to the hospital. The woman's face suddenly darkened. She seemed to be calculating something. Nam Tan urgently shouted, Quickly to the hospital. The woman followed him. Wait for me. I'll go with you. They both quickly arrived at the hospital. Moments later, he anxiously pushed open the door and called out, Gang Hee. Inside the hospital room, Kanhai was sitting on a chair beside the bed, waiting for Thin and Neen to wake up. Hearing the call, the little boy turned his head. Then, he climbed down from the chair and ran to Nam Tan, hugging him tightly. Noticing his son's unusual behavior, he asked, Kanhai, what's wrong? The boy didn't say anything, but just kept pulling his hand towards the bed where Thin and Neen lay. When he clearly saw that the person lying on the hospital bed was Thin and Neen, Nam Tan couldn't hide his astonishment. So, it was her. I can't believe she risked her life to save Kanhai. Just then, the woman from earlier appeared, waving. Hello, Gang Hee. As soon as Kanhai saw her, he hid fearfully beside Nam Tan. Nam Tan, burdened with guilt, sat down and gently stroked his son's head. I'm so sorry about today, he apologized. I promise you, I won't break another promise. Okay. The woman approached, feigning gentleness, and chimed in. Let me handle this. The little one must be quite frightened. She turned to the boy. Xiao Jinghai, would you like to go get some dinner with me? At the woman's touch, Jinghai's face tensed. He trembled, clinging tightly to his father. Seeing this, the woman suggested, He's truly scared, Nam Tan. Let me take Jinghai home with me. A frightened child needs rest. He glanced at Thin and Neen, lying on the hospital bed, then instructed his assistant, Go tell the hospital staff to take good care of her. Nam Tan descended to the ground floor and saw his car waiting at the hospital's main gate. The woman, noticing the sleeping child, inquired, "Is Jing Hai asleep?" "Yes," he replied. "It's very late. You should go home too." Sensing opportunity, the woman quickly said, "It's all right, my driver is waiting nearby. I know you have no intention of marrying, but Jing Hai needs someone to care for him. I think your grandfather has a point." "Upnam tang hestiga intenali." "Marriage?" The woman, seeing his wavering, added, "If anything comes up, just call me. Jing Hai is quite fond of me, you know." Yusi Namtan offered no response to her proposition, simply instructing his assistant to step on the gas. The car sped away. The woman, a flicker of annoyance in her eyes, returned to her own vehicle. "Let's go," she commanded her driver. The driver, glancing at her through the rearview mirror, remarked, "Miss Van, everything was going so smoothly. Who would have thought that nightclub would show up in the middle of it all?" Venom laced the woman's voice. "It doesn't matter. Even if it had gone perfectly, it wouldn't have been as effective. This way, Namtan is shaken. He'll be more likely to consider marriage." A dangerous glint entered her eyes. "Leave that child alone for now," she ordered. "There will be other opportunities later. I'll be spending the next couple of days at the hotel. Tell my assistant to prepare plenty of things children like for me to bring over." Several hours later, in hospital room 02, Thin and Neen slowly opened her eyes. Chu Tin, overjoyed, cried out, "Mommy, Mommy, you're awake. How long have you been asleep?" The understanding child explained, "You weren't coming home, Mommy. I was so worried. The auntie and uncle from your hotel brought me here." "Don't move, Mommy. The doctor said you can't leave until the day after tomorrow." Guilt washed over Thin and Neen. "Du Ting, I'm sure saw thee. I made you worry. Du Ting pow that. You knew I'd worry, but you still ran in there. Don't you know how dangerous that was? What if something had happened to you?" Their conversation was interrupted by a knock at the door. "Come in," Thin and Neen called. The assistant entered, laden with a variety of nourishing gifts. "Manager Thin," he said, "Mr. UC sent these. He also wanted to thank you for saving his young son." Thin and Neen was bewildered. "Mr. UC? Young son? You mean that little boy? He's UC Namtan's son?" The assistant nodded vigorously. "Yes, that's right. Manager Thin, you're the young master's savior. If there's anything you need, please don't hesitate to ask. I won't disturb you any further. Please rest." Meanwhile, Tu Tin, her eyes gleaming with excitement at the mention of Mr. UC, felt a surge of energy. "Mr. UC," she mused. "He sounds important. He's probably a good dad, too." A plan began to form in her mind. She would become a matchmaker for her mother, and maybe, just maybe, find a daddy for herself in the process. A few days later, at a cafe on a bustling street, Shouting cheerfully followed the address she'd been given. As she pushed open the door, she spotted her target. There he was, a man with silver white hair and a kind face, looking back at her. Shouting approached with a bright smile. "Mr. Yu, right? Hello, I'm Shouting. We've chatted online for so long. I'm so happy to finally meet you in person." The kindly man asked, "Ting Ting, you're here. Come, sit down. Would you like some ice cream?" Hearing the mention of her favorite treat, the young girl's eyes crinkled with delight. "Wow, ice cream? Thank you." She accepted the cup of ice cream and asked as she ate, "I thought I might meet Uncle Yu today, too. I didn't expect he wouldn't even come out to meet a potential partner himself. No wonder he's still single." The kind man chuckled, defending Yunansheng. "He's very busy. Isn't your mother also absent?" Shouting playfully stuck out her tongue. "Well, that's true. It's up to us to create opportunities for them." Mr. Yu, amused by her childish tone, chuckled and patted her head. "So, what cunning plan do you have up your sleeve this time? Have faith. If they are meant to be, they will find their way to each other." But Shouting wasn't convinced. "If we leave it to fate, how long will we have to wait? Listen to my brilliant plan." As she ate, Shouting laid out her plan. Mr. Yu, intrigued by her novel idea, happily offered some suggestions. Once they were finished, she bid him farewell and returned home. The butler, who had accompanied her, finally spoke up. "Sir, given young master's status, wouldn't a single mother be a bit inadequate?" Mr. Yu's voice suddenly turned serious. "If you're not satisfied, then you find someone. I'm quite pleased with this. These days, girls are all spoiled. If he chooses one of them, who will take care of Jingy?" Thinking of the adorable girl he'd just met, he felt even more content. Ting Ting is a cheerful and intelligent child. She must have been raised well. If Nansheng had met someone like that earlier, what happened to Jingy 3 years ago wouldn't have occurred. His voice became tinged with sadness, regret, and self-reproach. The butler sighed and offered comfort. Sir, it wasn't your fault. You shouldn't blame yourself. The young master doesn't blame you either. Mr. Yu shook his head. If he didn't blame me, he wouldn't have taken Jingy away and refused to let her stay with me like before. The next day, at a cafe, shouting, worried about her mother's inactivity, urged her, Mom, I really think you should go back to work. Shung Anren chuckled. Work? Why? Can't I even rest for 2 days? An opportunity to get paid without working doesn't come along every day, you know? I'll think about it next week. Seeing her mother's outdated thinking, Shouting sighed. Mom, you have to seize the opportunity. Shung Anren, confused, asked, What opportunity? Shouting's eyes lit up with excitement. Your boss. He's not only handsome, but he's also rich and single. So, there must be tons of women after him. If you don't make an effort, what am I going to do? Hearing her daughter's rambling, Shung Anren pinched her nose and asked, You've never even met my boss. How do you know he's handsome? Just then, Shouting spotted the person she was waiting for. She excitedly waved. Shoo shoo, over here, over here. Shung Anren, startled by her daughter's outburst, looked behind her. She saw Yu Nansheng and the same little boy from before, dressed in matching outfits. A shiver ran down her spine. It's him? What's going on? Seemingly worried he hadn't heard her, the little girl waved her arms vigorously, calling out, Shoo shoo, over here, over here. Oh, it's that child. While he was distracted, Jing Yi, whom he'd been holding, had somehow disappeared. Just like that, the two children had switched places and run towards the adults. Fin and Neen's eyes widened as she looked at the little boy. This is the child from the hotel room that day. Jing Yi's face lit up with joy at seeing her again. Across from them, Tu-Tin looked at her mother and excitedly introduced, This is Shu Shu. She's the one who gave me chocolate at the airport, Mommy. Fin and Neen grimaced inwardly, thinking this little girl has no idea that Shu Shu is also my boss. Both adults simultaneously asked, This is your child? Yours? Remembering how she had saved his son, Yusi Namtan's expression softened considerably. Thank you so much for what you did for Jing Yi that day. I was planning to bring him to your home to thank you properly. Fin and Neen waved her hand dismissively. No need, no need. You giving me time off is thanks enough. Besides, ensuring the safety of guests is my duty. Yusi Namtan looked at her and reminded her, Consider it a favor, but don't forget our wager. Hearing this, her expression changed. I knew he wasn't being this nice for nothing. I won't disturb you any longer. Jing Yi, let's go. He extended his hand towards his son. Strangely, the little boy, upon hearing that they were leaving, looked at him as if he were an enemy, repeatedly shaking his head in refusal. Yusi Namtan, displeased, called out to him again, his voice louder this time. Jing Yi, Fin and Neen, sensing the awkwardness, offered with a smile. Since you're already here, if you don't mind, why don't you sit down? There's room for 4. Jing Yi looked at his father with pleading eyes. Yusi Namtan could only sigh in resignation and agree. Father and son each ordered a different drink and sat in silence. The atmosphere slightly strained. Fin and Neen struggled to suppress a giggle, whispering to herself, To think that the formidable CEO Yusi Namtan of Fin Duong Corporation has a side like this. Suddenly, Tu-Tin reached out to Jing Yi and asked sweetly, Little brother, I'm going to get some fruit. Do you want to come with me? Jing Yi, initially shy, blushed slightly but nodded without refusing. He then held out his hand for Tu-Tin to take. Tu-Tin naturally led him towards the fruit display. Yusi Namtan stared after them, dumbfounded. Jing Yi was actually willing to be near a little girl? Watching Tu-Tin chat animatedly with Jing Yi, Yusi Namtan remarked, Your daughter is very lively. Fin and Neen smiled gently. That's Tu-Tin for you. She's a mischievous child, but she gets along well with children her age. Remembering something, she asked, Oh, right. Has Jing been unable to speak since he was younger? Worried that Yusi Namtan might be offended, she quickly added, I'm sorry. I'm just curious. I didn't mean any harm. Tu-Tin continued enthusiastically describing each fruit to Jing Yi. Not hearing a response from Yusi Namtan, Fin and Neen looked down, embarrassed. Ugh, this mouth of mine. Why am I so nosy? This is so awkward. Just when she thought he would refuse to answer, Yu Nansheng calmly spoke. Jing, she wasn't incapable of speech. He just preferred not to. Having chosen their snacks, the two children quickly returned. Mommy, we're back. Jing, she carefully presented the plate of pastries he'd picked to and ran, his eyes full of anticipation for praise. Noticing this subtle shift, Xiao Ting hatched a new plan. She quickly went to sit beside Yu Nansheng. Uncle, I think this little brother really likes my mommy. Why don't you let him sit next to her, and I'll sit with you? Yu Nansheng's voice was gentle. His name is Jing Shi. Xiao Ting, her large eyes round, turned to Jing Shi. Then I'll call him Brother Jing Shi. Oh, right, Brother Jing Shi, how old are you? What if he's actually the younger brother? Jing Shi wanted to speak, but shyness held him captive, leaving him silent with his head bowed. Yu Nansheng answered for his son. He's 5 years old. His birthday is the day before Mid-Autumn Festival. He looked at Xiao Ting. And you? Xiao Ting's eyes sparkled, ready to answer, I'm. But Sheng Anren quickly interrupted. Xiao Ting's birthday is September 14th. A flicker of bewilderment, tinged with suspicion, crossed her face. How could it be such a coincidence? Jing, she shared a birthday with Xiao Ting. A while later, seeing that it was getting late, Sheng Anren went to the ball pit where the two children were playing. Ting Ting, we have to go home now. A shadow of disappointment crossed Xiao Ting's face. But I want to play with Brother Jing Shi a little longer. Sheng Anren shook her head firmly. No, Sheng Xiao Ting. It's too late. The little girl walked over and, with surprising boldness, took Yu Nansheng's hand, then turned to her mother with a candid suggestion. Mommy, since you don't have anything to do when you get home, why don't you chat with Uncle Yu a bit longer? You know, to develop your feelings for each other. Sheng Anren, mortified by her daughter's bluntness, scolded, What nonsense are you talking about, Sheng Xiao Ting? She turned to Yu Nansheng, her face flushed. She's talking nonsense, Mr. Yu. Please don't mind her. I'll talk to her when we get home. Jing, she suddenly handed his father a note. Yu Nansheng picked it up and read the 6 concise characters. Invite Ting Ting to our house. He paused, considering. This was the first time Jing she had made such a request. He was clearly quite fond of this mother and daughter. The little boy looked at his father with innocent, hopeful eyes, as if pleading, Please, Dad. Seeing his son's expression, Yu Nansheng relented. He tucked the note into his pocket and turned to Sheng Anren. How about next Saturday? I'll have someone pick you and Ting Ting up and bring you to my house. Sheng Anren, surprised by the sudden invitation, gasped. The two children, their goal achieved, exchanged delighted high fives, beaming like little angels. His voice softened. Come on, let's get you and your daughter home. His gaze made Sheng Anren blush. She averted her eyes and murmured, Thank you, Mr. Yu. After he'd seen them safely home. As they sat in the car, Jing she suddenly tugged on his father's shirt. He excitedly presented a drawing he had just finished. Looking at the picture, understanding dawned on Yu Nansheng. Jing she wanted a mother. The little boy nodded vigorously, the word mommy escaping his lips in a soft whisper. After 3 years of silence, hearing his son finally speak made Yu Nansheng freeze. Overwhelmed with joy, he embraced the boy tightly. Jing Hai, you spoke. It's been 3 years since you last spoke. He readily agreed to his son's request. All right, Daddy will find you the mommy you like. Jing Hai, beaming, nodded happily, snuggling closer into his father's embrace with a soft smile. A few days later, at Sheng Tang Corporation, Sheng Anren returned, her hair disheveled and body exhausted after a frustrating day searching for a preschool for Xiaoxing. Oh, heavens. Finding a kindergarten for Xingxing is proving to be mission impossible. She felt utterly drained, as if she could barely walk. Hearing the sound behind him, her assistant turned around. Manager Sheng. He approached her, getting straight to the point. Mr. Yu inquired about the corporation's operational plan for the next 2 months this morning. Do you know when you'll be able to submit it? Sheng Anren gave a strained okay sign. I know. I'll prepare it soon. Though she smiled brightly, inwardly she grumbled. The hotel's anniversary celebration just ended, and now he's already piling on the corporation's operational plan. What is Yu Nansheng thinking? Even Huang Shuren wouldn't be this demanding. Remembering the lunchbox she had with her, she pulled it out. Oh, right. These are some dishes I made myself. I saw that your young master really enjoyed my cooking last time, so perhaps you could take this to him? The assistant asked with concern. Is this your lunch, Manager Sheng? Didn't you eat anything? The mention of lunch made Sheng Anren sigh wearily. It's a long story. I didn't have time to eat. Don't let it go to waste. I'm busy, so I'll be going now. The assistant, resigned, took the lunchbox. All right then. Looking at the food, he hesitated. She said she just doesn't want it to go to waste. But will the young master even like this? To the assistant's surprise, upon learning the food was from Sheng Anren, Jing Hai's face lit up. He eagerly accepted the lunchbox and began to devour its contents. Yu Nansheng, entering after finishing some work, noticed this. Jing Hai, what are you eating? The The assistant quickly explained, "Manager, Sheng asked me to bring this for the young master." Loosening his tie slightly, Yu Nansheng inquired further, Did you speak with her about the corporation's operational plan?" The assistant replied, "She said she'd submit it soon, but she's been busy looking for a preschool for her daughter lately, so she might not have much time to prepare." Overhearing this, Jing Hai quickly began writing on his tablet, the words also forming on his lips. "I want to go to preschool too." Yu Nansheng immediately refused. "No, preschool is too chaotic. I'll find a private tutor for you." Jing Hai, unyielding, continued to write, "I want to go to the same preschool as Xing Xing. If you don't let me, I'll tell Grandpa." Yu Nansheng, however, stood firm, shaking his head. The father and son continued their silent back and forth, leaving the assistant watching with a weary expression. Two chairmen of Sheng Tang Corporation, and they're locked in this daily struggle. Who would believe it? Just then, a woman surnamed Wen knocked and entered. "Nansheng, am I interrupting? I made lunch for you," and Jing Hai, the assistant, taking the cue, excused himself. "Mr. Yu, I'll take my leave then." Yu Nansheng, seemingly oblivious to the woman, calmly instructed his assistant, Nan Fong, put everything else on hold and focus on preparing for the wedding. The assistant, listening without comprehension, looked bewildered and asked again about the wedding. "Who's getting married?" You see Nam Tan, his entire being radiating an air of handsomeness, smiled knowingly. "Why, me, of course."